Hello, my beautiful moms, and welcome to Daily Mom Joy with Relly as we continue our Ask a Joyful Mother series with another exciting guest today that I'm going to introduce here in just a moment. Moms, I wanted to ask you, when was the actual last time that you did something for yourself? And now I don't mean for special occasions. I don't mean like it was your birthday or Mother's Day or any other special occasion. I mean, like, when was the last time you did something for you on a regular day where there was nothing exciting going on, when you probably had a to-do list this long and you had 20 million things going on? When did that actually happen? And when did you do that guilt-free, may I add? I talk about self-care quite a bit on my podcast episodes. And today I want to talk about it a little bit some more. Now, I feel in all of my years of being in this field, self-care, it really is something that we all truly want. We all deserve. As moms, we know the benefits of it. Yet it is something that we just keep struggling with. We have a hard time prioritizing it. Therefore, our follow through just kind of sucks, doesn't it? So we have good intentions, but then we just get lost in the to-do lists, right? And the soccer games and the dance recitals and Ubering our kids around all damn day long. So I thought it was very appropriate. Who better to talk to us about self-care than my lovely friend Angela, who is a licensed esthetician, and she's also a fellow mom. So super exciting. Angela, hello, welcome, my friend.
Hello, Relly. I'm
Hi.
so happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I'm so happy. Now, I thought we'd just kind of start off first thing talking a little bit about your mom journey, because as we all know, we all do things for a living, but moms is really what connects us and what we describe ourselves, right? First and foremost. So can you talk to us and our amazing mamas a little bit about your mom journey?
So my mom journey started when I was 28 years old. I owned a beauty business. I had a nail salon, and I sold my nail salon to stay at home to be a full-time mom. And then I had two little children. My daughter came about 4.5 years later. I did some volunteer work, but was mainly a stay-at-home domestic engineer, and I loved every minute of it. Then I went back to work when my daughter, my youngest, started preschool. I went back to doing nails and then went to school for skin because I was just in my early 30s and I noticed that my skin wasn't glowing like it normally does. So I opened a day spa while I was going to skin school and doing nails part-time and being a mama, and had my third baby because in my industry, your hours are very flexible, which is great and makes being a mom not so stressful. So you can schedule your appointments around all your mom stuff. But so yeah, I have two boys and a girl, and I have two young adults and one sophomore in high school. So he'll be the one that keeps me out of the nursing home.
That's amazing. I love that. So I love that you started your own business with the intention of staying at home with your kiddos, yet still while working. So what led to that decision, right? Because I know there's a lot of moms in our audience that are either looking to do something to work from home. I actually see this quite a bit in the Facebook groups. They want to stay home, finding that balance, right? I've talked about this before, finding that balance between work and then staying at home, or going to work and doing the thing with the kids, right? What led you to that decision?
Well, it actually was a decision that I was already doing before I even had kids. I was already an entrepreneur.
Okay. So you had
Always,
that mindset.
yeah. I did it before the kids came along. Um, and it just worked out to my benefit. Actually, when I got into my industry, I really wasn't even thinking ahead about the days that I would have a flexible schedule. So it just kind of worked out for me. Um, but moms moving forward, if I had to do an 8 to 4, an 8 to 5 job, I don't know if I could have done it, at least without a lot of hired help. Seriously. So
Or support, right? The mom tribe that I talk about quite a bit because, like I said, it takes a village, right? So,
yes. So I was already there before I had my first one. So I've just always been very passionate, and just the way that my industry led me, I wanted to be in a safe environment where there was no backstabbing and women being women sometimes. So that's actually why I opened my own place and have been very strong all these years, 30 some odd years later, to still be in business. I've always had very high standards for when I had a day spa, a medical spa, and now I'm a sole proprietor, but I did not want negativity in my environment. So I just branched out on my own. So
you set the stage for the life that you wanted, which
mhm,
I find it so inspiring because I will tell you, and you know this, you actually saw me struggle, and I'll get to that in a moment for our audience. But I struggled with lots of that in corporate world and listen, so for some people they love corporate world and that's amazing. For me, corporate world, I was great at it. I Just because I was great at it doesn't mean that it was for me as far as serving me. And I think that's something really interesting because it took me to go through that path in order for me to find what you're just saying right now that you said right from the beginning. Where were you when I needed that? Right at the beginning. I wish I had a little fairy that told me, hey, this isn't for you. You can totally do this. But I love the fact that you set the stage. And that's really inspirational because to moms listening to this right now, there's nothing different between you and Angela. You know, Angela had a mindset that she said, hey, these are my standards. And by the way, you used a very important word, standards. I always say standards and expectations are two very different things. Our standards are attached to our beliefs, our values. And sometimes we mistake other people's expectations um, for our standards. So then we start compromising the two. And I think that's really awesome that you said, I have these standards and I'm going to stick to these standards and I'm going to live my life through those standards, which I'm sure you went through challenges, but I have a little sense here that your standards are what kept you going.
mhm, definitely. Definitely. They sure did.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of your industry, so I've actually been going to Angela for my face for years. And I came to Angela when all the stress showed up in my face. I've talked about this before. You know, I was a corporate mom. I worked a million hours a week back in the day. My issue was just inflammation. It wasn't even acne. So it wasn't anything that I was I don't know, I felt like I needed to address right away. So the inflammation was actually pretty slow progressing. And it's something that eventually I almost got used to it. And I say this all the time, you know, our physiology is beautifully synced to our emotional and mental health. So when something is different, ladies, when something is different in our physiology, we have to listen. We have to lean into it because we can spend the time fighting it, or we can get curious about it and lean into that issue and try to problem solve. For me, I had this redness going on for a really long time. The stress was just all up in there. And I went to Angela and I said, listen, I need help. You know, she was recommended to be by another dear friend of mine. And it was just, it was I was just used to it. I was used to it, but I didn't like it. And I fought it for quite a bit instead of just saying, you know what, let me go to somebody. And sure enough, I thought it was something completely different. And Angela looked at me and she said, this is all stress. Like it's just complete and total stress. And I was like, no. Do you remember that, Angela? I was like, no,
I sure
it's gonna be
do.
more something like that. It was too much. So I thought she was gonna have her hands full with me. And anyways, she delivered. My face is not like it used to be at all. But I'm not talking about luxury here, you guys. I'm actually talking about, using our skincare as a flag, right? For our physiology. If something is different, we have to do something about it. And sometimes our skin, we do look at it like it's a luxury. We do look at it like, oh, getting a facial is something that's either out of my realm of reality because I've got, little ones running around, or because I'm not getting sleep at night, or all of those things. But the reality is that skincare really is part of our health. So I thought you could talk to us a little bit about how that does link to our emotional wellness, right? And how our gut is connected. We've talked about how, the things that we eat, everything really impacts our skin. So
Everything. And by the way, you were an A student. Not all skincare clients follow directions very well. And so because you were on board, it was me plus you equals glowing skin. So
yay.
that's a really hard part, So anyways, but yes, the benefits of self-care go more than skin deep. That's for sure. The skin is our biggest organ. It deserves a lot of attention. So to maintain your skin health and to keep it clear, smooth, and radiant, it requires some attention, you know, um, professional skin treatments and AM and PM good skincare regimes. Customized for you because everybody's skin type is different. I don't think I've ever met the same person with the same skin. I mean, people have the same characteristics, but everybody's skin is so different. So emotional well-being and skincare. Doing a skincare routine at home, morning and night, it almost becomes a ritual. So massaging your skin and draining your lymphatic system that lies right below our skin, right above our adipose tissue, is very, very therapeutic. Just taking those few minutes out of your day for yourself to massage your own skin can be really very therapeutic and really help with your mindset. Another benefit to taking care of your skin is it boosts self-confidence. So when your skin is clear and you have a glowing complexion, it enhances your self-esteem. So when you feel good, you look good. So that's very important. And my clients love to have glowing skin, and I love to help them get there so that they can glow in their own life. So
I
that's
love that. I always say, I'm like, you literally give self-care as what do you do for a living? Self-care is my service, right? Moms love coming to you. I can't imagine anybody coming to you and going, ugh, like I feel bad. Some, like the dentist or the gynecologist, everybody dreads going to
it
the
is a
dentist and the
journey.
gynecologist.
Not, I mean, sometimes coming to see me when you're an acne client, sometimes there's purging and, sometimes there's the bad before the good, but I always promise the good in the very end, So,
That's amazing.
there's long-term health benefits to self-care in skincare. Cleansing, toning, moisturizing, and diligent SPF are will really help prevent skin issues such as premature aging, pigmentation here in Florida, and skin cancer, believe it or not. Taking care of your skin and getting professional exfoliations just keep those cells reminded that you're in charge and not them. So long-term health, good health is actually great in self-care. So
Now, a good routine, Angela, is like how long would you say is a good? You mentioned a ritual, right? So if somebody does, they commit to their skin as part of their self-care, and they commit to a ritual every day of just doing the cleansing and the toning and things like that at home, and that lymphatic drainage. How long does that take?
literally, a rock star ritual is maybe 5 minutes, maybe six.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that long. Or you can take it and make it a little longer if you're implementing a mask that evening. Then there's 15, 20 minutes where you might have the mask on and taking it off. But the basic cleansing, toning, serums, and moisturizer, really, it does not take that long. It's not long at all,
And
you
then
know.
you add a little mask and you feel pretty good afterwards, right?
Yes.
So, mamas, I ask this because I know it doesn't take long because I do it every night. Okay, self care is more. I've already said it. The skincare is part of my self care routine, just because I dealt with the skin issue. Um, to me, I've associated skincare and stress with redness and not feeling good, right? Lack of confidence. So for me, improved skincare equals up self-care, up self-esteem, better confidence. And to me, it is relaxing. And it does improve my mood. So I say this because it's only a few minutes, and we've talked about, moms, about the challenges that we have sometimes with establishing a good self-care routine. And today we're talking about skincare, but self-care is really anything that serves us. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to go to a facial every single week in order to have good self-care. You can just commit to you and your wellness and do something for 5 minutes a night. And it's something that you're listening to Angela, it's going to give you long-term results, right? It's going to improve your
Absolutely.
confidence.
When
Yes.
when you leave my treatment room or a massage or a pedicure, I mean, the amount of stress that most moms have today is usually off the charts, unfortunately. And our cortisol levels are extremely high. And when that happens consistently, it enlarges pores, which nobody wants large pores. It
No.
increases oil production, then becomes that oil production will then acne and congested skin. So taking time out to just de-stress, even if it's a breathing technique, will actually help your skin. It helps your skin immensely. So
That's amazing. That's the impact of that cortisol. Again, we hear all the time, physiology, our mental wellness, our emotional wellness, they're connected. And that's a perfect example on how something that is very, very physical. Cortisol is our stress hormone. It's the hormone that gets released when we're in fight and flight, when our sympathetic system gets activated. We're not meant to be in fight and flight all the time, ladies. That is there to help us survive. That fight and flight is literally a survival system that is within our body. We are beautifully made, but we're not meant to be in fight and flight all the time. So the fact that cortisol gets released, and look at the impact that it has on our skin, right? And then the trickle down effect is then how it makes us feel emotionally, right? So for us that have felt that burden of, redness, inflammation, or even others like acne, you mentioned, the painful ones, that's all caused with cortisol, and or direct correlation with cortisol. And something again so simple as a care routine every single night is something that we can impact. And again, that just goes back to good habit building, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Now, which actually brings me to my next point, right? Deprioritizing self-care. I know for me in the past, I've deprioritized my self-care, right? I've said things that I hear other moms say today, like, well, I don't have the time. Right. Do you hear that, Angela? Do you
Oh,
hear people
yes.
say, well, I don't have the
Yes.
time? I have too much on my plate. I am too busy. Maybe when the kids are at college, right? And I can do finally something for myself. I've talked about this before. You know, what we say out loud, what we say to ourselves, our self talk, it matters. It matters. If we say something out loud, that's the existence that we are, or the experience that we are experiencing, the what we are experiencing, the reality that we're trying to experience. I'm trying to find the words here. So it matters how we talk to ourselves. And when we say things like that, we're basically saying to ourselves that it's okay to disregard our self-care. We're training ourselves to say, well, I'm deprioritizing myself, and that's just what I'm used to. So that's what you're going to default to every time.
And
So
I have clients that are so busy that I'm amazed that they still make it in once a month, you know?
yeah.
So it's that it's good. And I wish more people would do it, but it's a struggle for me too. So I understand, even though I give self-care all the time, I also do struggle with it, even though I do prioritize a lot. Um,
So I was actually just going to ask you that, Angela. Have you ever struggled? I mean, you do this for a living. So, but have you ever struggled with prioritizing your own self-care? And how did you overcome that? Because, you know, as you can see, it's a belief, you know, it's a belief. If we're not um, teaching ourselves that it's okay to do so, then we deprioritize it by default.
Well, I think nowadays it's easier to take some time out of your schedule and not feel guilty. Whereas years ago, it was almost looked down upon if you took extra time for your hairs and your nails and your pedi and your fingernails and your massage and whatever it is that you have in your self-care um, book. And nowadays it's easier, it's more accepted. You don't feel guilty. You need that time to yourself to just take a break and look good is feeling good. I don't like getting up at 6 and going to the gym, but I do it all the time. It's just part of my lifestyle. And so I think it's easier for the world and families and husbands and kids to understand this is mom. She's going to get her hair done or she's going to get her facial. And that's very much accepted nowadays. So it's a lot easier. But years ago, it was, it wasn't really accepted as it is now. So.
I would agree with that. I know from a society standpoint, right? I think a lot has changed, let's face it. But you know, there are still things that are needing work. Um, and I feel like that stigma of the lazy stay-at-home mom lingers around sometimes, you know, which is really annoying.
Job on
Because
earth, the
yeah,
hardest on earth.
it's so hard. It's so hard. I did both. I've said this before. I wear that badge of honor like big time because I did both. And I'm telling you, when I got home, when I say when I came home from corporate America, holy crap, it took a toll on me. That's really when I started my journey and joyfulness, you know, finding that joyfulness. I've been there. I've literally been there. I needed joy, and when I worked, I needed joy when I was at home. So definitely. But that's just one example, right? Then you have the other side of the coin of, oh, overworked mom that doesn't pay attention to her kids. Those, I feel like those stigmas sometimes they still roam. And because those stigmas still roam, it's important for us as moms to identify that we don't fall into that line of thinking. Just because that line of thinking or that stigma was around before or wherever the hell it came from doesn't mean we have to feed it, because it's just like our thoughts. Whatever we feed is what we're going to give our energy to. It's what we're going to give our effort to. So again, kind of adds to that. Oh, well, I'm going to not give myself permission. I'm already working, so I can't take more time to do this for myself. If I don't have my time with my kids, that will make me an not nurturing mother, right? But then if I'm at home, I'm already at home with my kids. How am I going to go? And so there's like sometimes this lose-lose scenario if you think about it. But that's the way that we choose to look at it, right? So I hope you ladies are listening that, Angela's offering a different way of looking at it, and that skincare doesn't have to be a luxury item. It can seriously be part of your self-care routine, and it's something that can be done very, very early, or very consistent at home, and that doesn't take long. So
Yes, self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you.
oh, love that. That's a t-shirt. I love my t-shirts. I feel like that needs to go on a t-shirt.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love it.
I love that. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Oh. Well, Angela, this has been such an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're busy, big time. So I thank you. Like I said before, you truly provide self-care is your gift to the world. So we are, on behalf of all mothers, I'm going to thank you because of people like you who have this gift. And I swear, Angela does have hands of gold. She really, really does. So are there any thoughts or anything else that you want to say to our audience today, Angela?
No, take time for yourself.
Yay, that's
Yes.
awesome. If they wanted to get a hold of you, if we wanted to learn a little bit more about skincare, where can people get a hold of you, Angela?
Actually, texting is the best way to get in touch with me, 727-777-9472. And then I can just send you a link to my website and online booking. So thank you very much. I had a
Awesome.
great time.
Awesome.
I love you to
Great.
death, and your skin is just glowing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to someone that I know. Well, mamas, I hope this was helpful. As always, we try to keep the conversation really to your benefit, for you to learn something new. And I know, we talk a lot about self-care again, but I really felt like it was important to talk about really the ease of what something like self-care or skincare could be to your self-care routine. So if you're struggling, if you're not really sure where to start and how to start a self-care routine, you could just start with your skincare, right? And if you're consistent, listen to what Angela just said. If you're consistent with it, then you're going to get long-term results. If you're consistent with it, you're going to get emotional benefit out of it. And as I mentioned before, as long as we establish a healthy habit of wellness, a mindset where we're giving ourselves permission to live a joyful life without feeling guilty, without feeling all that mom guilt BS that we get all the time, we don't have to subscribe to that, ladies. We can think differently, therefore live differently. So again, thank you for joining us and for tuning in. If you aren't part of our Mom Joy community, you can find us on our Facebook group, Daily Mom Joy. And if you are still not sure where you want to take things from here in your journey, you can always go to my website, www.groundyourheart.com, for more, or you can shoot me a DM on Facebook. Let joy be your default, ladies. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving. And we will continue our Ask a Joyful Mother series next week with another guest. So stay tuned. Take care.
Bye, honey.